வணக்கம். Welcome to the class 3rd on ethics. In the class I'm going to take for you a modern philosopher. Modern philosopher, no, 21st century philosopher. And I'm going to give you a methodology for a thought experiment. Thought experiments which is unique to philosophy. இது long back practiced in Greek mythology. Not mythology, I'm sorry. It is in the Greek tradition of conducting thought experiments. For you don't experiment in the world, in real world, but you create an experiment in your mind itself. That is what thought experiments do. But instead of going for definitions, I will go for some very important aspects of thought experiments in this lecture. Let us first see the person who is talking to you is none other than Michael Sandel. Michael Sandel has written the book, What is the Right Thing to Do? He has also written another most influential book on the limitations of meritocracy, which we will see in the next class. But here, he develops the philosophical thinking based on dialogues with the students. His course is free for you, which I am going to post it in this video. This course is by Harvard University, and we will see step by step how he develops his arguments. Now, arguments, how we have to develop arguments, and how you have to conduct thought experiments you are going to see here. What experiments you are going to see here. Now, he is a modern philosopher. We started our entire ethics discussion yesterday by discussing a short story by Nikolai Gogol. What is your learning? What is all your thoughts about Nikolai Gogol's nose? You ponder, write all your thoughts, you ponder in a paper. See, thinking is different from pondering. Thinking, it is a straitjacket, linear process. There is a clear beginning and there is an ending. On the other hand, in pondering, what we do is we go in a non-linear fashion. It need not be in circular, but it is in a non-linear fashion. You go, start from there, start from there, start from that, and then ultimately you go into different places. Now, it was there in 18th century. I don't want to take you through a step-by-step process of 18th century, then 19th century and 21st century. We will jump directly to 21st century and discuss one of the well-respected modern philosopher, Michael Sandel. His philosophical discourses are based on dialogues with his students and participants across the world. His book has been translated into 27 languages, and he is the most well-recognized philosopher including China. Therefore, you can see his thoughts and classes were one of the finest in the world in the present day circumstances. And Michael Sandel teaches political philosophy at Harvard University. His writings on justice, ethics, democracy, and markets have been translated into 27 languages. His course, Justice, What is the Right Thing to Do, is freely available online and on television. It has been viewed by tens and millions of people around the world, where Sandel was named the most influential foreign figure of the year in China's Newsweek. Now, if you look at his thought process, justice and ethics are the most important aspects that you will come across. Now, with this introduction of Michael Sandel, we will go to the thought experiment, and in which I will be directly talking to you. Amma? Direct talk. Illama. Idu mudijchu. Ivladha. Yeah. Today I will introduce you two philosophers, Jeremy Bentham and Immanuel Kant. In fact, Immanuel Kant Jeremy Bentham is a person with long hair, and Immanuel Kant is the curly hair. These are the two philosophers. Their thought process I am going to introduce to you by a thought experiment. Let us go to the thought experiment. Let us come to the lecture board. Now, imagine yourself. You are going by an engine. There is only one engine, and that engine is going on the track. Suddenly, you find the brakes fail, and if you go straight, you will hit 5 people. On the other hand, if you look at your right side, there is one man, and if you turn to right, you will kill one person. Now I want you to go through a thought experiment. Tell me, will you go straight? Carefully understand. Will you go straight and kill 5 people, or go to right and then kill only one person? Now when you are thinking, you think if I go straight, I will kill 5 people. If I go to the left side, right side, I will kill only one person. There is no other technological alternatives, because you can't stop the vehicle. It's all impossible. You have to kill 5 people or kill one. Now, majority of the people will say that we don't mind killing one person because we are saving 5 people. This appears a logical answer. But will this 5 to 1 will always hold good for us? Think for yourself. Now let me give you an idea. Another thought experiment. You are a doctor. You got 5 patients. And each one of the patient has one major ailment. For example, one patient with heart problem, another patient with lung, another patient with brain, 5 vital organs. There are 5 patients with 5 major organs impairment. Okay? Now, as a doctor, you are just thinking how you have to save these patients. And suddenly something flashes in your mind that there is an young man who has come and sleeping in your restroom, who is very good health. Only one thing is he has a problem of headache. With another half an hour he can go back and work. இப்போ என்ன பண்ணலாம்? இதுக்கு முன்னால நம்ம என்ன சொன்னோம்? 5 people சேவ் பண்றதுக்காக ஒருத்தர் இறந்தாலும் பரவாயில்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? அப்போ இந்த 5 பேஷண்ட்ஸை காப்பாற்றுறதுக்காக இந்த யங் மேனுடைய ஒரு பார்ட்டும் எடுத்து உங்களுக்கு வைக்கலாமா? தியரட்டிக்கலி ஒரு தியரட்டிக்கல் எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட். இஃப் யூ ரிமூவ் ஹார்ட் அண்ட் கீப் இட் இன் அனதர் பர்சன் ரீப்ளேஸ் பண்ணோம்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலி திஸ் பர்சன் வில் பி பெட்டர் அப்படின்னு தாட் மட்டும்தான். இட் இஸ் நாட் ப்ராக்டிக்கலி பாசிபிள். பிரெயின் எடுத்து இன்னொரு பிரெயின் போடுறது வந்து டெஃபினெட்லி இட் இஸ் நாட் பாசிபிள். பட் லெட் us do the thought experiment. In the first case, you told that out of 5 people, in order to save 5 people, I will take only 1 person. 5:1. But slowly, இப்போ now think பண்ணும்போது அதே மாதிரி இந்த டாக்டர்ஸ் கேஸ்லையும் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோன்னா I don't think so that you will do it. ஏன் பண்ணக்கூடாது? 5:1 தானே வச்சிருக்கோம். This is an ethical dilemma for us. Now, I will give another example, which has been given by Michael Sandel. There are 4 people who are boarding a big ship, and suddenly there was a big storm, and during the storm, the people have to take a lifeboat, and they were traveling on the lifeboat. And for approximately 3 weeks, you know that seawater you cannot drink, you will die. People will die if you take seawater. Though there is so much water, unless you have a pure water, water which is distilled, people will die. Now, in this particular circumstances, they were exhausting all their food, water that is available within that boat, which is used for survival. But at last, they decided that one of them has to be killed, and the rest of them, out of 4, the rest of them will eat that person to survive. This is after approximately 19 days. This is a real incident happened. Now what happened is, they wanted to have lottery, and whoever gets into that will be killed. And one cabin boy who is young, he was selected to be killed, and he was killed. His flesh was eaten by rest of the persons to survive. They survived, and they went back to Britain. The police immediately filed a case of homicide on them, and they were hauled up before a court. Now, how will you argue? For example, if you are selected as a lawyer to argue on behalf of these three people, what are all the arguments you put forth? On the other hand, you are a prosecutor. What are all the arguments you put forth against these people? Let us slowly understand. We have already told that instead of 5 people, you can definitely kill one person because you have no other go. But in this case again, in the ship case also, you have killed one person so that other 3 can survive. The argument, the situation appears to be the same. But how will you argue against this philosophy of sacrificing someone so that majority will survive? If you carefully look into this entire incidents, I will give you another modern incident. In Czechoslovakia, the government wanted to ban smoking. In Czechoslovakia, they wanted to ban smoking, and one of the cigarette companies came out with a principle telling that if you ban smoking, it is bad for the economy. For example, if you ban smoking, government has to pay pensions people who are above, because people will live longer years. Therefore, government has to pay pensions. If they are having, so they are. It is a real project given by Jeffrey Phillip, justifying not to ban smoking. Let me come to the case step by step. They said that if you ban smoking, there will be less number of people who are having lung diseases, emphysema, and the various other cardiac arrests. Therefore, what happens is, one thing is government expenditure will go up because pensions will be there. There will be less number of patients in the hospitals because the diseases have come down. And overall, the economy will come down if you ban smoking. This is the strongest argument they have given. Now, how do you refute the argument? There are very strong arguments. For example, if you are going straight and killing 5 people, instead of that, if you have killed one person, there are arguments to support you. Now, here in the case of cigarette smoking, the cigarette company says that if you ban smoking, you are getting a lot of revenue out of it. A lot of money you are getting out of it. For if you ban smoking, it is bad for you, government. Please be careful. How will you do that? Now, for example, all of us know drinking alcohol is bad for health. Government never promotes. Government always says that don't drink and drive. In fact, every film you have at the beginning, you have a caution that don't drink. It is bad for your health. Don't smoke. You have a lot of cancer and all diseases you will get. But still government allows you, it is legal to smoke if you are above the age of 18 years. Not in public places, but in your private place, you can definitely smoke. Nobody will come and, no police will not come and question you. Similarly, alcohol is available. How do you address this dilemma? You are going as an IAS officer in a particular village, and the villagers come and say that this alcohol shop is spoiling the health of our husbands and they are drinking and they are not going for work, let me close it. But the alcohol shop is officially run. If you take a places like Tamil Nadu, you have a government authorized shop. It is not an illegal business to sell for people who are above legal age of drinking. It is not illegal. It may be detrimental for your health. Your health may come down, but still government sells it because it gets revenue from that. Contrary to the popular belief that governments are run because of alcohol, in fact, only 15% of Tamil Nadu government's income is out of selling alcohol. Now, what kind of a philosophy that these people we have? This philosophy is given by Jerome Bentham. You have seen the man with long hair. His body is still preserved in Britain, and you can still see his body well preserved. Now, he gave a philosophy. He is from Tory party, and he is a liberal thinker. We will discuss about who are all liberal thinkers and these areas, but he came out with the principle of maximum good for maximum people. If any issue is occurring to you, his dilemma is there. If it provides maximum good for maximum number of people, even a minority suffers, still you can pursue that economic doctrine. In fact, this has been justified by him. This is reason why you have the principle of justice. We will see in the later classes what is this principle of justice. He says that it is okay if a maximum number of people are benefited by it. Okay, go ahead with that. If maximum people are benefited by taxing the smokers, go ahead with that. Therefore, what is happening was an economic philosophy given by Jerome Bentham has been considered as a principle of justice, and people started using this particular philosophy. Now, one of the very important things, therefore, what happened is, these Jerome Bentham's writings have come into existence after Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. Therefore, in Wealth of Nations, how the countries have built their wealth, he gave an economic philosophy of markets. What we will do is, we will study the mathematical properties of his philosophy. In fact, I consider him as a philosopher of free markets. Therefore, what he said was, the governments need not involve in the day-to-day affairs of business. If you allow freely the markets, for example, if the demand is coming down for a product, automatically what happens is the stock for that product will come down, automatically that will go out of business and new products people will be manufacturing. Therefore, there is a law known as J.B. Say's law of market, which says that markets create their own demand. That means what? There is no economic downturn can happen. You allow the markets to take care of itself. and the markets will take care of the needs of the people. The government's role is just to provide defense and the banking, central banking, not even the regular retail banking. Therefore, you keep the most important functions and look after the law and order. Rest of it taken by the market. But time and again, it has been proved. In 1930, we had a great depression. Out of every 4 Americans, 1 American was out of job. You know that America is having a largest, if today, United States of America, the total GDP of America, gross domestic product, is $25 billion, approximately, plus and minus. $25 trillion. I'm sorry, I think I have told billion. 25 trillion. China's GDP is 18 trillion. It is fast approaching the world leader. And India's GDP is approximately 3.4 trillion. For 1.5 billion people, we have not yet got our census of 2021 because of COVID. We did not do the census have to come. Then only we will clearly know how much population we have. Now the GDP of our country is approximately 3.25 trillion, while America's GDP is 25 trillion. Now what happens is, if America goes into recession means continuously for 2 quarters, if it is showing a negative growth, that means it is in recession. It's a technical definition. Now if America goes in for recession because it has a very high inflation rate, it is almost 9, it may cross double digit in next few weeks if the petroleum prices go up continuously like this. Now very high inflation rate will, if the unemployment rate is also very high, then it is a sure case of recession. Now America, if it goes in for recession, there are many countries like India who are dependent on exports to America, like services. We will also be in recession. Though our economy by itself may not be in recession, because we are fairly growing with approximately 7.2% of growth for this year. It is good. But what happens is, it is not your decision or Government of India's decision. If the petroleum prices are going up like this, our current account deficit will go up. Current account means what exactly we are importing and what exactly exporting. It is always in negative for our country because we import large amount, 85% of our energy requirements are imported. Now I'm going to little economics so that you will understand the implication of the markets. Therefore, what happened is Marshall and Jerome Bentham are all enthusiasts for free markets. Markets will take care of themselves, you need not involve. But in 1930, John Maynard Keynes, J.M. Keynes, have come out with his theory that government has to involve so that the effective demand, the GDP of a country, can be improved. Therefore, government interventions were planned. Therefore, this you can do it by monetary policy and fiscal policy. By taxing more, you reduce the consumption of the people. For example, if there is alcohol, then you can't ask people not to have alcohol, because people who are addicted, who want to have alcohol, they will definitely have. Therefore, government, in order to discourage that, it will put a lot of taxes on that, or tax them is the solution. Of course, apart from that, there are many reasons, monetary policy and fiscal policy, all these things, you will be reading more of that. Therefore, monetary policy is based on the money supply in a particular time in a country. Therefore, if the more money is put into circulation, surprisingly the prices go up. You may be wondering, what is this? Whenever I just printing more money and given by RBI or by Federal Reserve, the prices are going up. Do you know who has found out the reason? The reason for it, it is by Galileo, who is an astronomer who has found, and at that time the government have asked him, please tell us why when you print more notes, you are finding more amount of prices go up. There is no relation between what you demand and the cash supply in the economy. But strangely, when you put more money, you are getting more prices. So this is how money supply, in fact, you have lot of theories of money supply, which is more traditional economics. But now let me come back to the thought experiment. This thought experiment is justified based on Jerome thinking's philosophy that maximum good for maximum people. Therefore, many people consider this as an utilitarian principle. This is a very, very important you have to understand the utilitarian principle. The utilitarian principle means it is maximum good for maximum people. That's all. The utility of the products. Therefore, utilitarians, there are many philosophers who are utilitarians, about which we will discuss more detail. Whenever you are seeing many of the articles and he is an utilitarian, then definitely you should think that they are more of capitalistic nature, and they are supporter of Adam Smith, of free markets. That is the reason why you will find in the slide limitations of market. Is markets an answer for everything? For example, Michael Sandel gives an example that when you are standing in a queue for a football match, and some poor man approaches you. Instead of you, I will stand in the queue. You give me some $20. Is it moral to allow him to stand in the queue and get the tickets? Let us go a little further. Now, in the United States, you have jails which are private jails. They are not government jails. These private companies, what they do is, they have private jails. The largest population in the world behind bars is United States. Though it is considered as a very liberal country, the largest population in the world behind bars is United States of America in the world. Now, the prison labor is being used by many companies, including Microsoft. Now, it was found out by many researchers that the tenure of prisoners sometimes or many times is determined by the requirements of prison labor by these judges. Now, is it justice? You stand in the queue, you ask somebody else to stand in the queue and get it and then pay for him? Or, let us take the example of kidney trade in the country, in our country. The kidneys generally are expected to last for the person's life. Like the reliability of the machines, if one part fails, you always keep another part so that it can take the entire burden. This is what reliability we do. so that you multiply it so much time so that there is a large amount of reliability, so that even if one fails, you have another thing, so that even if 3 to 4 things fail, there is one single thing to run the machine. Like that, our kidneys, we don't need 2 kidneys, therefore 1 kidney can be donated. But however, there are researchers which says that the kidneys are likely to reduce the lifetime of the person if he is not a very, very well built or poorer in nature. If he is not taking good food and other things, his lifetime will definitely be reduced by 5 to 10 years. Now, when you are buying kidneys in the market, is it justice? Are we allowing the markets to freely, so that what happens is whatever part I don't have, I do anything to spoil my kidney and then I get it replaced because I have enough money? Therefore, is markets an answer for everything? Now there is a question, a thought process for you. What caused HIV virus? There is a strong reports by journalists. Doctors may not approve, have not given that. Probably I will share with you in the next class. The HIV virus was caused by having inoculation towards other deadly disease which was made out of monkey's kidneys. It has been well established. Now we thought that COVID will be over if you have market forces to manufacture vaccines. It is not over because many poor countries cannot afford such costliest product from Pfizer or from any other company. And Pfizer, it wanted to sell in some of the South American countries. They wanted, if the vaccine fails, we have to indemnify your people. Therefore, for that, you give your airports, and they have dictated to governments that you give your airports and other assets so that we will come in agreement with you and supply with that. Therefore, is it ethical? Now you can see a plethora of ethical issues come into your mind by maximum good to maximum people. And justification of profit. Now, let me come to Immanuel Kant. He gave a different kind of approach. He philosophized, Immanuel Kant has philosophized, he's from Prussia, that his philosophy is every man, human being, irrespective of whatever happens in the world, he got a right. He got a right for food, right for information, right for livelihood. You cannot deny him the livelihood. Very important, you cannot deny him the livelihood. There is no 5:1. All 6 have right to live. Therefore, you cannot violate the right to live for this person. Therefore, you have to really work on this particular thing. He said very strongly, rights approach, about which I will take in the tomorrow's class. One important area which you should remember is there is an approach known as commutarian approach. Commutarian approach. What is commutarian approach? I will tell you one important thing. Justice Nageswar Rao, the Supreme Court judge, before whom the case has come, in which people have challenged that government cannot or should not enforce vaccination compulsorily. If I'm not willing to get vaccinated, you should not vaccinate him. Now, a question comes. If I'm not get vaccinated for COVID, I'm likely to spread to 10 people. Therefore, I got a right to myself. That's good. But have I got a right to infect the people around me? It is something a very important question, and he has used commutarian approach, which I am going to discuss in depth in the next class, to make a decision. Therefore, whenever there is a moral dilemma, what happens is, which approach you have to take? Is it given by Jerome Bentham or Immanuel Kant, about which we will see more and more, or commutarian approach? And what are all these approaches? How we have to deal with these thoughts, moral dilemmas, and case studies, we will see in the next class. Until then, thank you very much. Vanakkam.